Hey guys, welcome to or back to the channel. Today's project is a hardtail Strat type guitar. Hardtail, no spring cavity on the back. This particular one is made of basswood because we are going to be putting a veneer on it, but that's the subject of another video. So let's get to the CAD part and then let's get back into the shop. Hey, if you like what you see here or you found it interesting or useful, why don't you give that subscribe button a click. Maybe give us a like, maybe hit the little bell thingy, lets you know when we put up new videos. What? Huh? Oh, my lawyer would like a word with you.
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! No, Will Robinson! Danger!
Here we are. This is the file as you would receive it. Right here. I've opened it in Vectric. I've placed it where I like to. Yours will come at 0 and 0 if you get the free files that we offer. But place it where you want it for your setup. All right, so here we are. What's the first thing we're going to do? Well, the first thing we're going to do is make sure that our material is set properly. Yep, 1.75 inches thick. That looks good. Okay. And we look over here at the material setup, and all that looks good to me. That's just how I do it here. All right, so the first thing we should do is probably the pickup cutouts. So we'll highlight those, and those will be pockets. And we will make them 750 deep, 3/4 of an inch deep. We'll use my standard rougher bit, conventional cut. I will ramp the plunge moves here an inch. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's just easier on the bit if I do that. And I will call this pickups. Okay, here we go. What's next? How about we cut the control cavity? So we'll highlight the control cavity. That's also going to be a pocket. This one's going to be deeper though. I normally go about 1.4 here, but you'll have to check your switch or however deep you want to go for your stuff. Okay, but 1.4 works for me. I still want to ramp the plunge moves, and we will call this control cavity. Okay, we'll calculate that. What's next? Well, next, how about the input cavity? Jack for the input, okay? That will also be a pocket. That'll also be 1.4. Your mileage may vary. Check on your depth. Conventional, I could shorten this, but I have found that it's okay right there. So we'll just call this input jack cavity. All right, we will calculate that. And the last one that we have to do will be the neck pocket. It's also a cavity. It's 5/8 deep if you're going standard Fender stuff. 5/8 is 0.625. All this other stuff looks good, and we will call that neck pocket. Okay. Lastly, what we will do is cut the outer profile. So we'll do this, and this one will not be a pocket, it'll be a profile. We want to go 1.75 because that's how thick our material is. We want to go on the outside here because we want that to be the finished shape. Conventional cut is fine. I don't know how you specifically hold yours down. Tape, clamps, whatever. I use clamps, so I normally put in tabs here. We're not gonna. We're just gonna assume you have a vacuum table or use carpet tape, double sticky tape, or blue tape and super glue, whatever. But you might want to put in tabs. Okay.
I usually put a ramp in here, and I usually put a short one at 0.2 because it precesses around the outside with each pass, and my clamp is right about here, and I don't want that thing running into it. Okay, we'll call this outer profile. All right, let's take a look at it. We'll reset the preview. We'll preview all toolpaths. That looks good to me. Let's get her up here and turn her around a little bit. Maybe zoom in a little. Now sometimes you get this stuff here. That's just some rendering issues. That's not going to be there. And even if it were, it would be less than paper thin. So I think that will be fine. Okay, so that's really about all there is to it. We can, you're saying, well, what about the forearm cut and the belly cut? I realize because this is a hardtail, it has no spring cavity on the back, but it does have the belly cut on the back and the forearm cut on the front. Where are those? Well, here we put those in as a secondary op, and I'll show you how to do that later in this video, how we do it. Could I do a 3D, go back and forth here 100 times and put in the forearm cut and then flip it over, index it so it knows where it is, and go back and forth 100 times and do the belly cut? Yes, I could do that. I find it very much faster just to do it by hand, so that's why we're not doing that. Let's get on into the shop and start making this guy.
All right, so we're in the shop. I have the program loaded up just like you see it, and I'll show you my setup on my CNC. Okay, this is my CNC setup. I have this clamped down with these two clamps here. I use a big steel clamp, but I'm sure that I'm gonna miss those because this is just a template, and I use this to set it. This is where it'll be cut out. You see we got plenty of room here so that it won't hit it. But what I have to do is I have to set the 0. For my setup, I use home over here as XY0 and the top of the part as Z0. So what I am going to do is 0 my Z right now. I'll just move this over here, get her close, and then you can use a piece of paper. There's 100 ways to do it. On this particular video, I'm going to use a piece of paper. A lot of times I just eyeball it, but on this one I'll use a piece of paper. Piece of paper is about 1/4 thou thick, so you might be 1/4 thou off, but quite honestly the tolerance of the machine is more than 1/4 thou. So what I'm doing is I'm looking down in here underneath my dust collector, and I'm moving the paper back and forth like this as the bit comes down, and when it stops, I'm at 0. So let's go. Getting close, getting close. Now I'm getting close. I'm going to turn the speed at which it goes down to the slowest I can. All right, and then I'm moving this back and forth till it stops. Right there. That is my 0. So I'll go over to my computer and I'll say that is my Z0. And you can see it changes to 0. All right, so now I'll fire up my spindle. You'll hear it kick on in the background. And I run about 18,000 RPM on this wood and this bit. 18,500, give or take. All right, I would normally have dust collection on, but I'm going to leave it off for this one so that you guys can get a view of the cut. I'll speed it up because who wants to watch 10 minutes of a CNC cutting, but you'll at least be able to see the bit. right, she's done cutting. Cautionary tale. 1 3/4 of an inch is a pretty deep cut through this stuff. Make absolutely sure that your bit is sticking out at least, 2 inches or so, or over 1 3/4 inches. Otherwise, on the last pass, this piece will come down, the collar will come down, and it'll hit your wood here, and all sorts of bad things happen. It'll burn it, it'll do all sorts of bad things. Ask me how I know. All right, so what we'll do is we'll unbolt this here. My 2 hold-down clamps. And we'll cut out the tabs, and then I'll show you how we put the forearm cut and the belly cut in. Now I know some of you are saying, sure, it's a hardtail, it's got no tremolo in it, but it needs to have it's a Strat, it needs to have a forearm cut and a belly cut on the back. Well, except for that one guy in the Budweiser cap, you don't care. Anyhow, how do you do that? So here's how I do it. I have this template that I use, very similar to the one that I used to place the blank on the machine, and it's got some holes drilled in it. I mark those holes, and then I connect them with a line, and that's the line for my forearm. I throw it on the back, and I draw this line, and that is the line for my belly cut. All right, so here we are at the bandsaw, and years ago I had a couple of fixtures that I made that would hold this body in relation to the blade so that I could run it through and it would cut these forearm cut and the belly cut correctly. I have over the years an experience. I just do it freehand now and then clean it up on my great big belt sander. So I'll show you how I do it. I just follow this line. How do you know that this angle is right here, Robert? From experience is about all I can tell you, okay? So I hog that off, and then later, you'll say, well, that's just flat, and it needs to be curved. You'll see me when I do it on the belt sander, my great big 5 horsepower belt sander, how that happens. Same thing here on the back. All I'm doing is hogging that out so I don't have to grind it off. I could grind it off. That belt grinder, that belt sander is quite a machine. We're going to go to that next. But as long as I'm not over that line, I'm generally okay. All right, here we are at my belt sander, or as I refer to, the most dangerous machine in the shop. This is a 60 grit belt. It cuts very fast, and if you slip and get a finger or a knuckle against that, it doesn't just cut you, it removes material. It's 1, very painful, and 2, it takes a long time to heal. Ask me how I know. All right, so we'll fire this up, and then we'll finish the forearm cut and the belly cut. So that's how fast it is. You can see I'm right up to the line here, and I rolled over the line here. That's no longer flat, that is curved. All right, and I clean that up with a orbital sander, which we're gonna do next. Here's the part of the video you guys have been waiting for, the part where I give you the free coupon code. Just go to the link in the description and it'll take you to the file page and check out like normal, and when it tries to charge you, just put in that coupon code and it'll be free. The only thing that I ask in return is that you subscribe to the channel. Subscription's free also. It doesn't cost you anything. Maybe, you know, 2 seconds to click the button wherever it is. All right, let's get back to the video. I have it on my little workmate bench, and I have this thing down, this mat that holds it so it doesn't move. It just holds it by friction, so I don't have to clamp it down, and I'll just round this out. That's all it takes for the forearm, nice and smooth. Rinse and repeat for the belly cut. Okay, you can see nice blended edges. That system really works well for me. Now we have to drill the hole that goes from the control cavity to the input jack, and then round over the edges, and we're basically done. Okay, for the hole, it's a 3/8 inch drill. It's about, I don't know, a foot long, 14 inches long. And we'll just come in at an angle. We're going to be careful so that we don't hit this part of the drill against right here and cause a divot, but we still have to make sure that our angle is right, that we're going to get into the pocket. So here's how I do that. I'm through, didn't nick anything here. Even though the CNC does a very good job of giving you a good edge finish, I have to go by and we have to cut off those little tabs, those little nubs that are left on there, and I generally go around the circumference of the guitar body just to give it a nice even finish on my great big 3-inch pneumatic 1 horsepower drum sander. That's all there is to that. Should it require it, and this one does not, I also have an oscillating spindle sander to get in these smaller radiuses. Radii, whatever you call them. All right, edges sanded, holes drilled. About all that's left is to put the radius on the edges. This is my router, one of my routers with a 3/16 round over bit. We'll just go around the top and the bottom. Okay, one thing of note on the bottom here, you want to be careful. You don't want to round over this edge or this edge. If you do, your plate will stick out over that and it'll look funny. Ask me how I know. All right, all that's left to do on this guy is some block sanding. I have some sanding pads and some block sanders that I have made. And we go by and we touch up little stuff here and there. Like, look, you got some fuzzies that are hanging off here, right? So you want to take those off. And some fuzzies that are here. Anyhow, it's a couple 10 minutes of just touch-up sanding. Then it goes to quality control. Quality control will measure this pocket. It will give each one of our bodies gets a unique serial number, so we know exactly which one. Every one is a different one, so we know who, you know, we keep track of everything. It'll get our logo. It'll get the dimension, the width of the neck pocket. We check that dimension on every single one of our bodies, and we write it right there. We check that with a dial caliper. I'll check this one right now. It's not sanded yet, but... So, I have 2.188, if you can see that. 2 3/16 is 2.187. So this one is within a thou of perfect, given the temperature and the humidity. It'll open and close 4 or 5 thousandths just with temperature and humidity. So this is a very well-sized neck pocket. Well, all right, that pretty much does it for this body. Hope you learned something. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you were able to download those free files. I'll keep bringing them to you as long as you keep subscribing. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you with the next one.